We are recording. Oh, perfect timing. Nice. Oh, no, you got to put your shades on.
No, I don't have to put my shades on. I just don't want to forget them.
Yeah. And
like
action. Leave the scene. No, that's good. I'm just going to make sure that someone got their message booked to you at 1:15 today. All right. Mute. I actually liked the topic that we had just started talking about before we recorded.
Which was, we talked about a few things.
Well, the one we can, the one we should talk about. Inventions. When the inventions cause you trouble because they don't want you to be putting it out there yet.
It's an interesting topic, only because there are a lot of things that individuals come out with privately, and then they want to bring it up for the better of society.
Yeah.
And big companies don't like that.
It's a control thing. The powers that be, they kind of have a schedule of like when things are evolving and moving and slowly rolling things out to society. And when someone in their genius jumps ahead, it throws off their $1 trillion plans. So we were saying someone who invented like something that made your car run more efficiently, or a fuel, or this or that, or something that makes lives better, like we would think. And then they kind of end up dead or something. So
that's when I was talking about the guy that invented a carburetor that gets 100 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
And then he ends up dead at 24. And it's like,
Well, he didn't think about the effect it would have on the price of gas and oil. Like those industries, they work so hard, and it's just going to their profits are going to crumble.
I understand, but in the big scheme of all this, it's government.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I go above what's above government.
Well,
the aliens.
That's if not everyone believes that kind of stuff. Possible.
Well,
but here's the thing: if you had $100 and you're spending that $100 just in fuel,
yes.
Well, then you're limited to just one form of spending your money towards the government.
Yes.
But if that $100 now, the mileage on your car, you can get the same mileage for $50. That means you have an extra $50 in your pocket that you're going to go spend in other industries. So even though it might affect the gas and the oil companies, right? In return, other industries are going to thrive because people can go spend their money in other places.
Is it going to be oil-related industry? Buy a lot of Vaseline?
Well,
I mean, why share profits, right?
Well, just the lid on this alone is an oil product.
Yeah, but it's a derivative, and you kind of lose.
But in the scheme of it, it's all coming back to the government, right? So does the government really care that your car gets 100?
When you say government, it's not provincial. I mean, is it even federal? Is it really
I think
is it a political party that is in charge of this?
I don't think so.
No. So it's not government.
Government as we know it.
Okay, so it's government as we don't know it.
This is like a tennis match.
No, I'm just saying. I'm taking what you're saying and I'm adding a question mark at the end of it.
True, but in the big scheme of things, what we know as you have your elitists, the guys that are at the top that have the money that are able to.
That's one way of talking closer to the mic.
The elitists who are up at the top, who are more aware of the inner workings of things,
yes.
And then you have the general public,
who
are told how things are working, right, and that's what they go by, right. So if the general public understands it as government, then it's government.
Let's go with the idea that let's just say that they take these restrictions off. Let's say that they're like, hey, you know what? We've got all this technology. We got free energy. Let's just say that. Let's say that you actually don't need fuel for your car anymore. You don't need to pay electricity, hydro, whatever. Nothing. It's all available to you. Outside of the expense, what would change in our life?
I think that people would be more open to doing things that they couldn't do before. The traveling, the education.
So you're presuming that like flights would go down in cost because of the fuel issue, and
well, majority of the flight cost is fuel.
Yeah, they don't pay the
Right.
pilots too much, eh?
They do pay the pilots, obviously, but a lot of it is fuel, right? Like, I mean, fuel.
Dude, I don't know, man. How
Fuel
much
is
fuel
very-
does a plane burn? Isn't it a clean engine? It's pretty efficient. You don't need that. You can't put that much fuel in a plane. It'll weigh it down. Half the weight of the fuel of the flights is
this is
the
this is where
gas.
you're going. This is where you're going down, like, you know, like
not a rabbit hole.
not rabbit holes, but like it's a lot. There's a lot of math involved, but you got to think like the fuel is.
You know what? Short flights should be cheap.
Short flights.
If you want to go around the world, okay, that's going to cost you thousands.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. But what would be different? I guess my idea is like, I'm not approving or blessing the fact that they restrict access to new technology and stuff. Obviously, everyone would presume that we should have full access to anything that's good. Good meaning something that's going to make lives better. But let's say we had free energy. What would be different? What is there a lack of human experience because we don't have energy? We don't get enough like watts. What's the problem?
What's the problem? I obviously there'd be a lot of changes. One, industries would disappear, jobs would disappear if there was free energy because you wouldn't have guys just, you know, or individuals.
So all the people at
working in
power
oil
plants, they'd have to kind of get better jobs.
different jobs, not
Yeah.
necessarily better, but different jobs.
Sure. Well, I mean,
Right.
no job is about a job is better than no job.
Yeah, if it's a good job. So those things would change, but I think people's lives would definitely change for the better because
Mm-hmm.
there'd be less restrictions on what they could do because they would have.
But I know, but what would
more-
they do?
What would you do?
I don't know. I don't think I would do
I-
anything different.
I would travel.
You would
right?
travel because you have free energy.
Yeah.
But where are you getting all this money?
Well, if you're still working, people would still be working.
Organo.
Possibly. A bit of it might be from that. People would still have jobs. There'd still
Yeah,
be
and just
jobs.
not you. Just I'm a traveler. Hey, free energy. Hey, guess what? I have a lifetime of vacation. Thank you, free energy.
Remember?
Did you invent it?
What?
Is that how it works out?
Free energy?
I found the free energy guy.
No.
Is
Actually,
it the Tesla stuff? I know it's the Tesla stuff.
No, not the Tesla stuff. But you know what? There is a lot of free energy in the ground. There's a lot of free energy in the ground. You see, and there's a lot of videos of people do, like grounding, for example. That's free energy just for the human body, right? Discharging out and
Well, I mean, I think we're giving the ground energy, and they're just taking our energy. I mean, taking the excess energy.
negative energy.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it. And now we're getting to, well, isn't electrons negative anyways? Do you mean a negative in the negative connotation?
Negative in the
You
negative
see how
connotation.
confusing things get when you talk to me?
It can be.
I'm tedious, I know.
Well, that's how I am.
So
I'm right to the point. Yeah.
I was telling someone about like detoxing, and there's something called an ion foot detox. You put your feet in water, and there's an electric array, and you add some salt water, and after 20 minutes, the water is like murky brown mud.
I've seen those.
Yeah, it's real because I have that, and I use it on people. Now, how they advertise it isn't what it is.
Right.
I think it actually is more along the lines of what you see in the water is nothing to do with detoxing, like chemicals. It could be detoxing negative ions, excess charge. Because I think people don't understand that science is not at the point where it understands or can act or properly measure someone that's just charged up. I think sometimes we have verbiage or sayings that are actually insanely accurate for what is happening to the person, but we just pass it off as like, well, you're someone's really hyper and like you're really charged up. And it's like, what if they have an excess of positive ions or negative ions? Like they're not balanced. They're not. They have to have a way to discharge this electrical excess, which can happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not just static where you rub your feet on the carpet and you touch something or rub balloon. Like people can take up ions and energy. And I think sometimes we overuse phrases without knowing what it's meaning. So this grounding effect, like it actually is something. Like you actually discharge. Like there's, don't mind the answering machine in the background. There's these mats that it actually has a copper wire that you actually
stick in the ground.
Stick right in the ground, and you sleep on that.
Yeah.
And people feel like, I actually feel like I've rested. I don't have bad dreams. I don't have as much aches and pains. I don't wake up so often to use the washroom, because they're actually discharging energy.
What you think about when you go to the beach?
Oh yeah,
and go to the beach. Do you feel better?
That is what reminded me of this.
So when you go on vacation, right, for 2 weeks, you feel better.
Yep.
Right. And then when you come back, all of a sudden you feel worse again. So
you start feeling sick again.
What changed? Like, if someone's on medication, did their medication change in that 2 weeks? No. Right. Their stress levels obviously drop. And is it part of that because they're no longer having to get up to do the 9 to 5 dredge of going back and forth to work?
That's part of it.
That's part of it. I think a majority of it is just standing on the beach.
Yeah.
Standing at the water.
And that's the foot detox, that's what reminded, as I was describing to someone, I'm like, this sounds like beach. This is the beach experience. Like water, ions, circulation, charges. And I'm like, our body's just, it's looking for a way to normalize energy. Mm-hmm. But we don't measure it. There is ways to measure. There is like a galvanometer, or like, because that is something I've been trying to look at and trying to figure out, like, how can I just like get someone to like put their hand on something and do like, what's the thing? The ohm meter?
Ohms.
Yeah. That's what we need, a human ohm meter.
Guys have done that just with a regular ohm meter.
Yeah.
Where they plug one end into the ground, they're holding the other end, they're wearing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they take off their shoes, there's a difference in the charge in that ohm meter.
So
standing barefoot.
That's what I would want to see, is like the point when they're insulated. Is there activities or things or supplements or experiences or activities that can, without the physical grounding, because not everyone has access to like a yard they can just walk barefoot in. Like we're in Canada. You could just, you lie out naked in the woods. You lose too much ions. All the trees are dying.
Yeah. Here it is. Even though people who live in condos and stuff like that, and obviously they don't have a backyard, they can still go to a park.
You know what I thought? When you live in a condo, how much of the energy you're picking up from everyone else on all the other floors?
I spent the night in the city, so I didn't want to do the drive first thing in the morning, dealing with the stress of a 2-hour drive to get here. So I came in last night. It's different in the city. Oh, it's so different up here. The energy is terrible. It takes like an hour to get from one end to the other end of Toronto. Like it's insane, And
everyone move away from Toronto.
Not everyone.
Okay,
just
half the people.
Because if everyone moves out of Toronto, then they're all coming up.
Many people. Well, no, I mean, we think people can go to like other provinces. What's wrong with Winnipeg?
It's really cold.
It was cold here. Did you went outside? I mean, once it hits 0 and below, what difference does it make?
There's a big difference, actually. I was actually thinking about that. When I woke up this morning, how the cold here is different than the cold up north. We've had snow for the last month where I am.
Well, how different? Like, how is it different? Yeah. Like, you're more frigid?
There's more humidity up there.
Yeah, so you're going to feel it in your bones more?
You feel it in your bones more. All right?
Sorry to hear that.
But that's when you start a fire.
Oh, jeez.
You do all the nice little things, right, to stay warm. It's different here in the city.
Do you have do you do cold baths
I do.
outside?
No.
Inside.
Sorry.
Wimp.
I told you, cold up there is different. I do grounding up there.
Yeah.
Like right now in this type of weather, I'll go out, take my shoes off, stand there, do a little grounding in that on the cold ground. Yeah.
Don't you think maybe it's cold? It's not as grounding as if it was warm. Electrically speaking.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should save that.
Batteries don't work as good when they're cold. So possibly.
Batteries. You put batteries in the fridge; they last longer.
I think that's a myth. I've heard that, and I think
You
that's
ever
a
lick
myth
a battery?
because what?
You ever lick a battery?
9-volt.
Oh.
That's the only ones really you can.
I mean, can you put like a AA right in your mouth?
You could, but you're not going to get the same effect.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah.
Why did you bring that up?
The what?
Licking batteries.
I didn't. You did.
Back to inventions.
Back to it.
What inventions do you think we need?
Oh man, I things that would benefit the body. Things that benefit the body. Med beds, I guess. Med beds.
Everyone talks about them. I haven't seen them.
I've only ever seen them like in when you watch like a sci-fi movie.
Well, how much is sci-fi? I mean, even Shatner said like science fiction is just science fact waiting to happen or something like that. I think I said.
Well, there was a thing where Star Trek. There was it's a show that he did where he said Star Trek invented, like the future that we're living in. So like when you take a look at the communicator that they had. The flip phone. Well, we came out with flip phones, cell phones, then
the tricorder.
The tricorder, yeah, where that you read.
I think that exists. That's got to exist already.
You have something downstairs that you do like an infrared of the body or like a
thermography.
Yeah,
it's not there yet, but it's going. Like I feel like. The analogy that's coming to mind is our cell phone that right now this is like our camera, our video camera, our phone, our messaging device, our computer. And like 30 years ago, you had an individual device for all these things.
Right.
Now with all the medical advances, you got like an infrared and you got a thermography and you got an bioimpedance and you got live blood analysis. I mean, eventually, they're just going to merge into one thing that just is like a whoop, and then you just got everything.
Right.
So that's an idea of like where technology is like it's almost like it's got to reach a critical point where it expands, and it kind of is learning and going into the unknown. But then it fills up enough space. And it's like, we can do this better. We can be more efficient. We can like conglomerate a lot of this so that it makes sense. And then it becomes like one unit, and it's like, and then you kind of start back at one again. So you kind of expand, and then this kind of just all shrinks down to a new thing, and then starts. Do you know what I mean? I use my hands a lot. I've been watching my videos.
A little bit of a European touch.
A little bit
with the hands, but I do understand where you're coming from. I think that. Like you were talking about the cell phone, I think that has been a big problem with people's health because it's limiting
that's an
people.
Interesting thing.
That limits people to certain things.
Yeah.
Right.
But I thought it was helping our health. I just did a nice example about how the cell phone is like a microcosm of all technology the last 30 years.
Coin has two sides.
Yeah, it does.
There's a good
the
side,
good and the
right?
bad.
Right.
The yin and the yang.
Yin yang, yin yang.
Yeah, everyone says yin yang. It's yin and yang. A reminder? Yeah, here's a reminder. Don't interrupt when I'm recording a podcast.
You should put that as your answering.
Yeah, that's great for business. More good ideas. Brainstorming with Brian and Jason.
I like your billboard out there, eh?
It's the best advertising. You're limited to how many times a year you can have it. Like it's literally like in your face.
What do you mean limited?
Well, you have to get a permit, and in each like plaza complex, like technically everyone has the right to that spot. There's like 2 or 3 permit spots, and you can't do it like you get a 3-week window, and then you can't do it for another 3 weeks.
Understood.
So someone else can do it, or nobody does it. So I get it like 4 or 5 times a year, but I try to do as often as I can, because it's like the more people see like your name, your number, your offering, like people drive by and it's by repetition, and then they'll be like, yeah, I drove by, I didn't even know you were there.
Isn't it great when there's like a traffic jam? Because then they're stopped right there looking at it.
Yeah, but I'm also like, I used to do this thing, and then I think we got a complaint. I had a projector, and I actually bought off Alibaba a 2-sided transparent screen. So you can project onto the back, and it's against a window. So on the other side, they can see what looks like a video playing, and it's just like a scrolling like of our services. And so people need to see like animation. They need to see like a passive sign. Like you probably go by the same sign 1,000 times in a year, and you don't even pay attention to it because it's just like part of your like dormant memory. It's like, yeah, I know it's there, but I don't need to pay attention to it because it doesn't change. Whereas something that's like colorful, changing, different. I was like, even with that boulevard sign, I try to always make it different. Change the layout, change the colors, add words, take away things. Sometimes I think even with big billboards that, with the letters, I think they make spelling mistakes on purpose.
Big box of oregano.
What's that?
Big box of oregano.
What do you mean?
On your advertising, how you said you have to change things up, right?
Oh my gosh.
Just, hey.
This is Brian's brain. 1, 2, 3. Organo. 1, 2, 3. Every chance. Okay, talk about organo.
No, it's
reishi mushroom is the future. That is an interesting concept, though.
It is.
Mushrooms.
Well, I've heard a lot of people talk about a lot of different mushroom topics.
Mm-hmm.
One, it's like $1 trillion business in the future.
If not already.
2, we share 50% of our DNA with mushrooms.
How much with gorillas?
Don't know.
Probably more. We should start eating gorillas.
No. Endangered species, I guess.
Okay.
No,
that's go after
right.
mushrooms. Mushrooms are not endangered.
But then there's
let's eat whatever's too much.
There is the synergy of when a food item looks like a certain body part. Mm-hmm. And then they've done tests where it shows that specific item
like
actually
for a tumor where mushrooms look like a growth. It is a growth.
It is.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about it is, like, I heard someone say where it doesn't decompose an item, it recomposes an item. So mushrooms that are growing on dying trees, it's not decomposing the tree, it's recomposing the tree from a dead item into a
repurposing.
It's repurposing.
It's not going to bring the tree back.
The reishi one I find the most interesting, or the most beneficial, because it does have a lot of similarities to certain body parts, like the brain, the liver, the kidney, right?
Yeah.
And these are all things that
you need.
If those are functioning good, you function good. Right?
I like the kidney brain connection because that's very TCM, Chinese medicine. And for men in particular, the kidneys are our weak organ, or it's our organ of focus. So if you have a kidney issue, as men, you're going to be in the poorest of health. Whereas for women, they are more liver-centric because they have all these hormones and stuff going on that we don't need to worry about. And they can have kidney issues, but they're less likely to. They're more likely to have liver spectrum types of symptoms. And liver spectrum means that it could be like blood productions and hormone and weight and immunity and emotional stuff. Things that the liver in the TCM perspective, like the whole body can be broken down into like the 5 major organs, but not everyone relies on all the organs the same. Mm-hmm. So for men in particular, I would say that the reishi, because of its similarity and supportive function to the kidneys, is really critical. So, but women too, because they've got kidneys. last I checked.
Yes, I do. And I do. And this is why I do like having, we mentioned organo, but like this is why I like their product, is because I don't have to think about taking a capsule all the time. If it's already infused into what I'm drinking,
Yeah, and
then it makes my life a lot easier.
There's a clear elegance in the product, obviously. I'm not just saying that because, I mean, if you can consume something and not realize it's in there, like when you eat food, there's nutrition, protein, vitamins, all this good stuff. You're not eating food thinking, I got to get my vitamin, this and that.
Right.
You're just eating because like, I like a burger.
Right.
And the coffee is the same. Food is medicine. And especially when it's procured and produced and presented in a way that it's like, this is as natural and as original as you're going to get. Like, you want a cup of coffee, here's a cup of coffee. By the way, there's all these spores and this and that, and you're going to feel better. And the coffee's not going to make you feel acidic. You're not going to feel like you got something burning in the pit of your stomach. You're not going to have a headache if it's 10 minutes past your coffee time. So the idea that you start slowly evolving into a healthier version of yourself with better habits. This morning, it was a great reminder because a patient said like, "Oh, I used to have a triple." Mm-hmm. I'm like, that I have I have one of those stories. I used to be a double guy.
Yeah.
And I never even drank coffee. I think I had a long shift. Someone brought me a double. Like, hey, you need this. And I downed it, and it was like the most delicious thing at the time because I just probably was calorie and energy deprived. And then I got to the point where I was having 2 a day. This is garbage. And I'm like, okay, I have to stop, cut it out completely. And then a year goes by, someone brings me and it's like, hey, you like these, right? And I tasted it and I'm like, this is garbage. This tastes so bad. And I used to have 2 a day. What's wrong with me? Your palate, I have another saying. It's like, when you're unhealthy, you crave what makes you sicker. And when you're trying to be healthy, you crave what's making you healthier. So your palate, you start leaning into a direction. Mm-hmm. When you got some bad habits, or you have things that you need to fix, you're going to crave sugar and the carbs and the kind of like the artificial things because you're already leaning that way. Like, it's just like, it's a habit. And my gut is evolved and the bacteria in there starts sloping in that direction of like high glucose, high fructose, high sugar turnover. And you're poisoning yourself from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And then when you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And you clean up. And after that initial like deprivation, it's like, I really miss it. And to the point where like, you know what? I don't miss it anymore. Then you're like, oh, you know what? I had some like red ginseng tea. And it just went down so smooth. Like, and it felt good. And I felt good having it. And I didn't feel like I had to have another one right after. Yeah. There's something like a little bit more like intuitive with health foods and natural products that are actually meant to fix us as opposed to make us sicker.
I think once the body is satisfied with what it's consumed, it no longer is asking for you to feed it. So, I forgot where I heard this from, but it was an example of
probably me.
When you go to a McDonald's, right, or just say a fast food chain, right? Let's leave names out. But if you go to a fast food chain and you consume
What's wrong? We're not going to get sponsored by them now?
You consume that, you may, right, or majority of the people, after a time period, 15, 20 minutes, you feel hungry again. Mm. And I believe it's the brain saying, you may have filled up, you may have put something inside the stomach, but I don't feel full energy-wise. And the example I like to give is, I have a diesel car, so I can put gasoline into the tank. I filled up the tank, but with the wrong product, all right, the engine might run, but it's going to run very poorly. Yeah. Right? And I think it's the same thing with food. So if you're putting the wrong food in, your stomach might feel full, but the body is empty of nutrients. Yeah. Hence the brain's like, I need something for energy. I need something to rebuild muscle. I need something to support the immune system. Feed me again. And then the people get that craving for food.
Yeah.
And then it might be the wrong food again.
There's this like seeking satisfaction and feeling satiated, which is not the same thing. Like you can eat a meal and it's like, oh, like a Thanksgiving meal. I'm like, oh, I'm really full. I'm good. And then you feel crummy afterwards. So there might be an element of satisfaction because you ate like some of your favorite things and you ate a lot of it and you just, you pigged out, which is okay to do sometimes. But then there's the idea of satiation. Satiation is pulling from the idea of like the meal I just had has checked all the boxes I needed. It's enough protein, the right amount of carbs, fiber, fats, nutritional value, the quality of food that my body is looking for right now, whether it's warming or cooling or drier or more moist, pulling again from Chinese medicine, and then feeling full but content, not full stuffed, but full like, I'm good. I'm good for like the next 4 or 5 hours. I don't feel like snacking. So the idea of like, you want to have that after every meal, feeling satiated, or the idea of satiety. And that's when your stomach's telling you, it's like, you've done your part. You gave me what I needed. I'll do my stuff. I'll check back in about 4 hours, 5 hours. When's lunch? When's dinner? Most people are missing that because either they don't have enough protein. Protein's a big, I guess, empty box that's not being checked.
Yeah.
People don't even think like, well, I don't even know what protein is. When it's like a steak, it's like, sure, but no, not exclusively. And when you ask people what they ate, it's like, it's all carbs. So I'm like, do you not see that you have a diet high in carbs? And like, well, when you put it like that, yes. Sometimes people don't even think about it. They're not even paying attention to the idea. It's like, I'm eating like fast, quick, whatever I want.
What they've been told to. Basically, what's been imprinted on. So think about it. Waking up in the morning, cereal, toast. Go ahead.
I don't want to. No.
Cereal, toast. It's one of my mentors is if you wanted to put a program in place that was going to destroy the American population, it's the American Food Guide, where you're starting off with lots of high sugar, high carb products first thing in the morning, which then, throws off your body completely.
Yeah.
Where it should be a protein base meal in the morning, and as opposed to having your sugars and your carbs.
So you know this, I know this. Why does is the problem not that, yeah, sure, the government kind of like leaves that dangling in front of us, but is there not a problem with people on their own not realizing what's good or bad? Are people just so like, oh, whatever, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, I'm not happy, I just want this indulgence?
Nothing wrong with indulgence every once in a while, but it's what is being shown to the general public.
But who's showing it? Like, because everyone that you see on TV, that's like the typical celebrity idols.
Yeah.
None of them are gorging themselves on carbs. They're all.
No, obviously not. But it's
so like if what's the model?
If you had like a bodybuilder that's promoting, a fast food product, right? I doubt that's how they got into that.
That's not a good
no, but that's what I'm saying.
example.
Like you have celebrities who, because they're, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars. You say this about
I don't
this
buy
product.
it. I don't buy
No?
it. I think people are miserable and depressed, and they want to stuff their faces in the cheapest, easiest, fastest, but most unintuitive and damaging way. Again, it goes back to when you're unhealthy, you crave what makes you worse. Like going through a drive-through for your breakfast, something's wrong with that. Both like the timing of it, like the people say, I don't have time to eat. You got time to wait in the drive-through?
I know, that drives me crazy. Like
you go out of your way to drive somewhere and park, like you're not parked, but you're like stalled somewhere, and you're waiting for something to come out of a window that like someone that's getting paid probably below minimum wage just threw at you.
Yeah.
And you're no.
If you can, here it is. If you can boil water in the morning at home, you can make yourself
Hot water.
that you can then make, you know, if it's oatmeal, it's oatmeal. If it's tea, coffee.
I don't like oatmeal.
You don't like
I don't
oatmeal,
like
but
the
there
way
are
it
there
I
are
like
people
it.
who do.
No,
right?
that's the answer
But,
people give me.
you know,
I'm like, how is that your answer? I don't like it. How old are you? 6? No, you're 40. Eat oatmeal. Shut up.
well, they don't have to eat it. They can do they can eat other things.
Eggs.
But it's that
Everyone I
time-
ask, do you like eggs? Yeah, I like eggs.
love eggs.
Everyone likes eggs.
Yeah, eggs from up north are a lot better than the eggs from down here in the
I
city.
like down south eggs.
From a farm, down south eggs from a farm.
I don't know. No. Yeah, you. It's when you see an egg that the yolk is not white, you know you're getting the right direction.
They're orange up in where I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now it makes sense why all these Italians call it the red.
For real.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
what red? What do you mean red? What's wrong with you guys? Don't you guys have a name for yellow? Yes,
Not
they
really
do.
yellow, yeah.
Well, that we went somewhere, but I want to go back to like inventions because I feel like why do some things blow up? Why do certain things like certain websites like okay, you watch the Facebook movie. Why did Facebook blow up? Like, I mean, and now it's kind of like evolved. It's not what it used to be, but like everyone's kind of looking for something. How do you know you hit it? How do you know that you're like, you provided something that people need or want and it actually will yield like success?
Oh, I go back to Caesar on this one, where
Caesar
you build the
was
Colosseum.
Pretty far back.
It is far back, but you build the Colosseum, you give people a distraction, right? And they feel satisfied. I was watching a show the other night, Hell's Kitchen. I like it because I like to see how people make food, but
Under duress of
under
death.
duress, of course. But
I like cooking shows, but can't they just do a cooking show? It's like, take your time. It's not a competition.
they do have shows like that.
Good, because
They do.
it's way less anxiety for me.
But this one in particular, I found surprising was this guy was like in his early 20s, so they're making a meal for an influencer that has 12 million followers. What is this guy doing that he has 12 million people following him?
I don't know.
Right?
We should start doing it.
Well, is that what you need though? Like, do you want that many people like knowing everything that you're doing and having them
What
come
if
up
they're
with-
lying? What if they have a fake life? They're pretending that this is all true and they're just actors.
Well,
That's a
when
good
you take a
idea.
look at people who have Facebook and they have, you know, X amount of friends, are they really their friends?
Yes, all of them. Deep,
Deep.
really deep. No, I mean, but you're pointing out people like their appetites. You're just satisfying what people want right now. Caesar, Gordon Ramsay.
Is it satisfying an appetite, or is you just distracting from what they really want or what they really need?
That's the other point. Is like maybe their appetites are just fluff, and their appetites are not geared towards what is actually making them healthy, but their appetites are looking for things that make them sicker. Maybe the society's leaning towards the sick. So what's successful is what will make someone sicker. Whereas stuff that's like we're talking about, like health and having a better attitude about life,
Which was different than the 80s. Because I remember back in the 80s when you would watch movies and the stars that were on TV, it's like, I want to look like that guy. And you'd and you'd go to the gym. So it was all about like the health.
Yes.
Right. As opposed to
Arnold, Stallone,
Van Damme.
Oh, Van Damme, Seagal a little bit. You ever see Seagal run?
No.
He runs. His arms don't know what they're good to do when he's running.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
It's
T-Rex.
something. But like those guys, Chuck Norris, and even the guys before in the 70s, those were like manly men. And then I shared this meme with some friends. So it was like a montage of the 80s guys, and then fast forwarded to, there was a montage of their working out, their training. So clips from like Rocky and all that stuff, like where they're like he's got the thing with his neck and he's lifting up a boulder and all that cool stuff. And then they show a workout from like now, and this guy's he's just foam rolling. And then you just see him kind of doing some stretches, and then he kind of tweak something. But that's, yeah, I don't know what happened. I at some point we stopped glamorizing these hardworking macho guys, and now we just have guys that are making duck face on their phone and I don't know, wearing eyeliner. I mean, guys in the 80s wore eyeliner too. I need to remind you.
No, there were guys.
Yeah,
obviously.
but they were manly guys. Manly eyeliner.
Sure. No. No. I
Listen, you wore eyeliner at one point in maybe high school.
I'm gonna have to probably say in a drunken.
You wore it once.
Huh?
Once.
Who knows? You fall asleep, people draw.
Nah,
like,
don't
on your
blame.
face.
No, this is from last night. I was drinking. I just didn't wash the eyeliner off. Don't mind me. You should see me yesterday.
No.
Lipstick wore off.
No.
Chapstick.
There is definitely been a swing from where we were in the 80s to where we are right now. Like you were talking about the memes, like, it's like you see like the bikers, and now they're on scooters. So you have a bunch of guys that are like, biker guys, and now they're scooter guys. All right.
Are there scooter gangs?
I don't know if there's scooter gangs. I'm sure in England there is. Actually, there is a Vespa, like a Vespa group.
Yeah, that's England.
Yeah.
Not here. Harley scooters. That would change the scene a little bit. If Harley.
They tried. Harley tried.
Yeah.
Didn't.
They're like, nah,
it didn't fly.
We should have known.
Didn't fly. Yeah.
Okay. So our appetites dictate if we're going to be healthier or sicker, and we don't even pay attention. We're like obtuse to it until we hit a point where it's like, I don't feel good. I know what I got to do, or at least I have an idea. And then it's up to them to have the motivation and the willpower to change it. Not everyone can. A lot of people, I mean, just scanning patients that I've seen over the years, there's too many people that come in, they're like, I'm like 40 pounds overweight. I'm stressed at work. My diet, I know I can do better because I know what I go out and I pick up for lunch. They're like, breakfast, I can do better, but I can figure that part out. Lunches, I run into a problem where I'm like buying, but I can buy better choices with direction. Dinners are good. And then the exercise is hit and miss, but then they don't see it through. They're like, yeah, I was good for a month. Then I'm like, I felt like having pasta for lunch.
Or for breakfast.
For breakfast, probably.
It's a routine thing. People have to build in that routine. It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy.
Discipline, and you have to kind of you have to like make it a rule. You have to be like, listen, I'm not having breads and pastas anymore. Maybe on a special occasion, maybe if I'm stuck somewhere.
It's what you said there, I am not going to. It's that, you ever hear of the I am philosophy?
No.
Wayne Dyer?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's I am. So like what you say, you're saying to yourself. So when you say like, I'm sick, well, then you tend to be sick.
Yeah,
right?
it's your identity.
As opposed to like, I'm healthy, right? Or I'm going to do this, right?
Yeah. But it's interesting because even with like, you touched upon like social media and influencers, as soon as someone considers themselves an influencer, you become one. And you actually start getting like followers and subscribers. Like I never used social media until I opened this place. So 2020, which is the best time to start anything because it was the pandemic. And then not really being savvy with like Instagram and like not even know where to start. You just create the account and then just start following other people and see what they're doing.
Right.
And then obviously like trying to stay true to like our brand or our concept or philosophy. And then like there's some people that they have like 5,000, 10,000 followers, and people I know, and I'm like, they don't even post.
Right.
And I'm like, I have like almost 700 posts and stories and reels, and like And early in the year, I was probably about 500 followers.
Right.
And then, you know, slowly kind of building it up. I told my wife, I'm like, I want to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. So I passed that.
You did that.
I did that, which was cool. It's not big, but it's like 1,000 people on somewhat regular basis are seeing information and thoughts, and they're seeing my face, they're seeing my words. So it's like there's an obligation to like actually kind of like give information that's like relevant and true and useful and will help people's lives. This to me is like, this is a slow burn, because it's not something like, oh, you know, follow me and you're going to get like $1 million. It's like, if you do stuff like that, you're going to get you get high rise in followers, and you probably got a lot of people who'd be like, this guy's full of it. And you sully your reputation, and you're not any further on than you were. So I kind of recognize that there's like a due process, but then there's also points where it's like things jump up, things hitting a critical point where it's like, then I went from here to here and stayed at this level for a little while, growing, like a cell. I mean, stuff you learn in high school with like how a cell grows and divides. It divides once there's so much resources, and it's like ready to like split into two. So there's like a natural evolution to things. And like, I think like everything, you have to kind of build up your resources so that you can appropriately grow.
Well, I think you having 1,000 followers that are following you for the positive things that you're putting out there, right, to benefit themselves.
Sure.
Right. Like myself, I watch what you're putting out there. That's why I like to come and do these things, you know, with you here, because
you like to see yourself.
No.
On my posts.
No, I don't actually.
There I am.
Yeah, no, I don't actually like that.
No?
Especially when I'm related to like a dead cat in my blood work.
Anyway, why did that? Like, that was such a good line.
It was a great line. It was a great line. I can't wait to retest it. But I think there's more value in that 1,000 people that are following you and getting health advice.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to some guy that has 12 million followers and they're calling him an influencer. I think the word is just being thrown out there as just as a title that really doesn't have any value at that level, because
they are influencing people, but maybe not in a good way.
Understood. Right? There's been a lot of dictators who've influenced a lot of people in the wrong things. All right.
I mean, if you're called a dictator, you've probably done something bad.
Yes.
No one calls someone like a leader of a country a dictator unless they got some kind of reputation.
No, but I'm saying they influenced people to do those bad things too.
The supreme.
Right?
He's so nice.
But I'm just saying, I don't think that there's truly a value for someone that you know, at 20 something years old, what do you really know in this world that you're influencing people? You
know that if you say the right things, people will give you a lot of money.
The right things? The right thing would be, let's see.
Throw away your devices.
You're a little out of shape. Go hit the gym as opposed to stuffing your face.
Fat shaming.
I'm not even calling it fat shaming. I'm just saying you're a little out of shape.
I had a post that was flagged on one of the platforms. It was a woman she had one of those measuring tapes around her waist.
Yep.
I don't know if it was like for weight loss or whatever. They said this is like a shaming or some kind of discriminatory. I'm like, yeah, come on.
Really?
So it's a good thing to maybe just like as like a conclusive topic is like, we've talked about healthy versus unhealthy. We've talked about positive and negative. We talked about things that are promoting health and making you feel better. And there's things that like are indulgences that probably aren't meant for health. How do you know something is good for you? Like, how do you know that you're practicing a healthy lifestyle? Because if someone is, let's say, morbidly obese, now there might be intrinsic factors, extrinsic factors. There may be things out of their control. There may be things that they could be controlling. But at what point can that a person say like, I don't know if I'm unhealthy. How do I know I'm unhealthy? What point am I seeing that I'm like, I need to intervene, or someone can say something? Because nowadays you can't say anything about anything. You're like, you can't judge something. It's like, well, there are parameters to measure health. So if you're doing something that's unhealthy and making you sicker, at what point can we be like, you're 300 pounds, you're 5'5"? Do the math.
Yeah. It would be the same. Okay, so I did my blood work, and I took it to a friend of mine who happens to be a doctor, and he looked at it and he's like, Brian, he goes, if you were to compare this to the dashboard of your car, right? You have no red lights on, you have no yellow lights on, so you have no warning lights on whatsoever. Your blood work shows everything is in normal parameters. Right? So unless a person's willing to go and do those little tests, so you could have someone that may seem to be obese or overweight or out of shape, whatever terminology you want to put, but if everything inside them is functioning properly, like if you take a look at football players, the guys on the front line, they're big men. They're really big guys.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think you would say that they were out of shape. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They may carry a few extra pounds, but
what happens, so that's a good example. They're relatively healthy as long as they're active. And then what happens when they stop playing?
they become
either obese or they stop doing the things that make them enormous. So their weight comes down, like same thing with bodybuilders. A lot of them, those like shrink to half their size. I think activity level is a big component of it, because someone can be a little bit overweight, but they play soccer twice a week, or they jog, or they do something, or they're active, or they have a laborious work ethic, and it just, they keep moving. So their circulation and organ function and blood flow and metabolic rate, like it suits them, because there's some people like 6'4", they're not going to be 160 pounds. They're going to look like malnourished. They're going to be 220 plus.
right.
That's just, and if you look at the BMI, then they're going to be obese. But I got to just flip your camera on. I felt like taking a break. All right.
Actually, it was you that were talking. You were talking about the movement and.
Well, I think that's the saving grace for people that are overweight. And it's like, you can have some extra pounds, but are you active? Are you actually using your body in a way that it's actually facilitating and balancing off? Because not everyone's going to have a six pack. Not like us. But so that's where people, I think if you can sell people on the idea of like, can you be active? Can you move? That is a better indicator of health than being slim and inactive. So now we've kind of changed. It's like, it's not necessarily an appearance thing. It's not like, what's your waistline? Do you have your tummy hang out over your pants? Yeah, those might be our indicators for some conditions. But for overall health, I actually tell most of my patients, I'm like, I'd rather you 10 pounds overweight than 10 pounds under.
Right.
I like you a little chubby. I got that line from I Love Lucy.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ethel was saying something about being overweight. And then the husband's like, no, I like you the way you are. I like my women a little chubby, which is a great line that you could use back then. Imagine saying it now. I should put that on my sign out on the boulevard. Looking for patients. Chubby is encouraged. Chubby. But now we have to redefine what's chubby. Chubby can be like 5 pounds, 10 pounds, not morbid obesity.
Yeah. Back to your question about like, how do you know? It really, I think it comes down to, the willingness to put yourself out there to do the tests, the blood work.
Yeah, you want to know. You want to test yourself. A lot of people don't want to know.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, just don't tell me. Don't show me my blood. It's going to be bad. It's like, can you just chill out? Just let me, just give me your finger.
Yeah.
Look at it. Like I said, nothing here is deadly. So just pay attention. It's like, okay, these cells, these just tell me that you don't digest protein. You're taking in too many carbs. Your gut is rotten in a nice way. And it's like, well, what do I have to do? And it's like, oh, do I have to do that? And they think that it's like a mountain. And that is also when I feel like their adrenals are like shot, because small problems, if the problem is like, let's say this ground level, a problem's this, but your resources are here. Now you're looking up at this huge dilemma. But if like that problem's here and your resources grow to meet it, then you're like looking at it eye to eye. It's like, oh, it's not so bad. Same problem, but your resources have adjusted and compensated. That's what the adrenal gland is doing.
Yeah.
No one gets that. That's why I talk about it like more as a metaphor. I talk about it as like in a video game, like Street Fighter, when they have the power bar. Like when you beat up someone or you feel like exhausted and you've depleted that, you lose.
Right.
It's like your body can't keep up. This stress has overwhelmed your resources.
Right.
And then how do you rebuild that? Nutrition, sleep, getting your brain out of this fight or flight. A bear's chasing me constantly. Grounding, good company, actually exploring hobbies and things that like edify you. Most people don't want to do that. I ask people like, what do you do for fun? They're like, nothing.
Yeah.
I go to bed and I wake up.
Routine.
It's like self-enforced slavery. Deep.
It does come down to, when you were talking about the adrenaline, I go back to this, like without knowing what's going on the inside, you can't fix the problem. Yeah. You know, it's like people who just take like a handful of vitamins just for the fact of taking vitamins. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually taking the right amount or the right ones and at the right times.
Those are people that they do a little self-research, which is okay. And then they sort of like, it's almost like binge health. They're like, that's it. Tomorrow I'm starting, I'm like no carbs and I'm going to the health food store. I'm buying all this stuff. Then the person's going to help me. I want to lose weight. I want to do a detox. I want to like do a parasite cleanse. And then like 2 months later, like I feel horrible. I stopped taking all these pills. I got dizzy. I felt I had diarrhea for a week. I don't know. And they come in with half of the bags are like unopened vitamins. Most of them are like stuff that they just saw in a magazine or a friend told them. They got 4 different types of magnesium. And I'm like, let's boil this down to like 2 or 3 pills that you take on a daily basis. Let's start working in phases, like take pieces so that you actually start to feel like you're getting results. If you want to fix all your problems, a shotgun approach all at the same time, you won't feel better for 2-3 months.
Right.
Because it's just your body's like, there's not enough resources to fix one thing, where like we're spreading out our resources too thin. You're going to kind of feel like up, down. You're never going to move forward.
Right. There was a talk that you did where like a patient comes in, you provide her with, product A, B, and C, and then she recommends a friend to come over. The friend comes and you give product D, E, and F. Then first patient calls, she's like, well, why did you give that to her and not to me?
Yeah,
two different.
Those are people that have a hard time being individual. They kind of conglomerate with people in like the same sorrow, like birds of a feather. Like the relationship you have with a friend is that you have the same aches and pains. It's not a good relationship.
Yeah.
You kind of are self-reinforcing. It's like, I'm down today. I'm down today too. Let's go get some cake. Yeah, let's go get some cake. So when they say, let's go see a naturopath. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's go. You go first. Okay. Yeah, he was great. Your turn. And they're like, what did you get? Did you get vitamin A? I'm like, no, I got vitamin B. Did you get magnesium? No, you gave me calcium. We're not doing the same things anymore. There's like best friends that they want to like wear the same color chapstick. It doesn't work. So there is an independence that have to go into it. You have to like, we customize it because 2 people are not identical. Even identical twins, they need different things.
Interesting.
So it is self-directed and self-motivated. You have to know when to get the right people to help you, and you have to like want to see it through. It doesn't take long. People have always said like, oh, naturopath stuff, I heard it's good, but it takes long. It's like, you'll feel better tomorrow. But like, you have to start making changes, like permanent. You can't have ice cream every night.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Well, I didn't have it as a kid. Well, you probably were healthier then too.
I think resources, like internally, you can deal with a lot more things. Like, we used to go clubbing, and then like at 2:00 in the morning, you go for Camiso Brothers. You know, you get a veal sandwich at 2:00 in the morning. You wake up at 6, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that now.
Yeah, I never did
You know
that.
what I mean, you never did, but you know, our little group of friends did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, but there's no way that you could
The
go
troublemakers, my mom used to call.
Yeah, we were.
Troubles. You don't want to be around those boys. Well, I like a veal sandwich sometimes. Just hang out for the veal. I'll meet you guys at 3 a.m. Hey, you guys have fun?
Yeah. A lot of topics today.
Yeah, I see a theme. Our appetites.
Appetites.
What do we need versus what do we want?
It is knowing what you need, as opposed to them telling you what you want.
Them. Who's them?
Them.
How about us?
Who's us?
Me and you. Us telling them what they need.
I don't think it's us telling them what they need.
No, I'm suggesting it.
Suggesting.
I'm encouraging us to tell them.
I think you telling, for example, me to have a prebiotic, right?
Yeah.
You know, is a lot better than you telling me, you know, just do whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Or suggesting, go listen to somebody else, or you know, you have to have the right people suggesting, not telling, but suggesting what can be done, right?
Yeah. Over time, you start seeing things that work in reality and things that are more like textbook. A lot of people come in quoting textbook naturopathic vitamins. Like they're like, I heard that this is supposed to be good for like melatonin. I don't think I've ever given anyone melatonin. And there's going to be a time when people will be like, yeah, I don't even know why we ever did that. Why was that so popular? And probiotics. I give people probiotics, but that's like my 5th or 6th choice. My camera was tripping. Yeah. So, you know what? Credit to people like yourself that have the drive to want to feel better and buy into a system and see, and then you'll see what works and you see what doesn't work, and you keep working and you keep refining it until you get to a point where you're like, I'm set. I know what to do. I know what my body's looking for. And then the vitamins are kind of just like as needed.
Right.
It's there when you feel like your diet has been a little bit off, and you kind of just, it's a correction. And really that's what it is, because no one wants to be on pills for life, whether it be medication or vitamins.
No.
You want food to be your medicine.
Who said that? Oh,
I did. It's me. I created it.
no.
Trademark. Foodismedicine.com.
I heard that somewhere else before.
So many places. Everywhere.
It'll come to me once this podcast is done for sure.
Okay, perfect.
Then I'll have to call you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.